Imagine sitting down to record, going in depth and explaining all the reasons why you chose specific gear pieces and anointments and skill trees, etc. Going on and on for about 20 or so minutes, being passionate about what you're talking about, and then realizing your mic was turned off. What kind of fucking idiot would do that? Am I right, guys? Definitely not me. Welcome back to another Borderlands 3 build video. Today I'm going to be going over splash damage Moze. This is my splash focus build. I made a poll on my channel. You guys voted for Flak, and second most was Moze, so I'm going to be doing Moze today. Moze has by far been my most played since the DLC came out. I really enjoy the splash damage build now. Not a lot has changed for it, but I still think it's really solid and it's just really fun to use. So also the playstyle just kind of reminds me a lot of the SHAM NORFLEET from Borderlands 2, which is a huge throwback. You literally just run all over the place with zero care. So without further ado, let's get into the gear. So the main weapon that you're going to be using for mobbing and for even certain bosses is going to be the Scourge rocket launcher. Now for the takedown, you're going to want a shock Scourge and a corrosive Scourge, but for something like the Slaughter Shaft or the Circle of Slaughter, you're going to want a fire Scourge. Now I don't have one, but I do have this one that is non-elemental, but it does have the incendiary damage anointment on it, so it kinda fits the same bill. Now on both of these I do have an Iron Bear splash damage anointment, and that is because I think this is pretty consistent. I personally have not found a single consecutive hit anointment Scourge, but if you have one, please send it to me. Add me on Epic or Shift. It's Yoda _ soda. I would really appreciate it. But yeah, I haven't really seen one, and consecutive hit anointments can stack all the way up to 200% damage, which is technically 40% more damage than a splash damage anointment on it. But like I said, I don't have one myself, and I don't even know if it exists. But we are going to be spamming Iron Bear, so this is pretty much going to be up almost all of the time. And the other problem with the consecutive hit anointment is that it goes away when you swap between weapons, and you are going to be swapping between these two weapons every so often, so you aren't really going to be getting that 200% damage bonus almost all of the time. So this is a pretty close second, and it's just really consistent, and it's overkill. Having any kind of anointment on a Scourge is already overkill, so who really cares? Another weapon that I love using on splash damage Moze is the Kibsworth. This one specifically is a ×3 variant, but I also have a ×2 variant, which doesn't really fall that far behind and is really good. But I really like using this one specifically because it has cryo and incendiary on it, and this is mainly going to be for enemies that just jump on you, basically anointed enemies or heavyweights or dogs. In the takedown, this is going to be your best friend in taking care of them. So cryo takes care of armor, and then incendiary takes care of flesh. You can also use a shock radiation one, because that one will just melt through shields, and radiation is neutral versus flesh and armor, so it's gonna kill pretty much everything. And then in my fourth slot, I would recommend having a specific bossing weapon. I use a shock protuberance for Wotan. This is for taking out his shield, but if you're going to be doing any other kind of boss, you can also use a quickie, for example. This thing just kills everything. It's pretty insane. I personally don't have a corrosive quickie, which is what I am hunting for at the moment, but I will update you guys when I do get one, which, by the way, I will be leaving a save file in the video description, so if you guys play on PC, you can pick this up and try it for yourself. I have a bunch of other stuff for you to play around with. Like I said, I have another ×3 Kibsworth, and I have two ×2 Kibsworths. And all of these have the basic counter elements. So it has corrosive for armor, incendiary for flesh, shock for shields, and cryo for fire enemies, I guess. I also have a Scoville with a splash damage anointment on it, as well as all the boomsicles. And the boomsicles, as well as the Kibsworths, all have consecutive hit anointments, and this is because it is insanely easy to stack these up, especially the ×3 Kibsworth. You're going to be shooting out 3 projectiles every single time, and with the help of Short Fuse from our blue tree, these projectiles have a chance of creating a secondary explosion, and all those things are going to greatly improve the rate at which you stack up the consecutive hits anoint, especially the boomsicle, because the boomsicle shoots 10 at the same time. I also have a binary nothingness. This one is one of the brand new weapons from the Guns, Love, and Tentacles DLC, and you can use it instead of the protuberance for certain fights. The reason why I don't like using this over the protuberance is because of the charge speed. You have to wait for this thing to charge up in order to shoot it, and that is kind of annoying because the protuberance doesn't really have to do any of that. It just does a ridiculous amount of damage in a decent area, and you kind of have to use this the same way. You have to shoot both weapons at their feet, and when you have to do this over and over again, the protuberance is just more effective. But it does have a place, and it is really, really good, so I have it in here if you guys want to try it out. It does have the incendiary anointment on it, and it has shock cryo, so it's good against shields, armor, and flesh, all in one little package. I also have an ogre, if you guys like using the ogre, and this one also has the consecutive hit anointments because it is a ×2. I don't know if all ogres are ×2, I might be retarded. And then if you just feel like being insanely overkill, I also have a ×2 ion cannon in here for literally no reason. For the shields, I use a transformer. Again, I think I've mentioned this in every single one of my build videos. Transformer is my favorite shield. It has a decent amount of capacity, gives you immunity to shock, and it gives you shields whenever you take shock damage, and it has a 40% bullet absorb chance. All these things are just really, really good for survivability, but there is also the Old God. Now this one does have a little bit more capacity than the Transformer. It also has a secret passive that doesn't show it on the card, but basically whatever element it's resistant to, it's actually going to give you 20 to 25% more elemental damage of that type. So it is really, really strong and a really good option if you guys want to. For the grenade, you have the tried and true cloning maddening tracker. This is going to help you quite a lot in stacking up your consecutive hit anointments. It's going to help you stay alive with all the multiple hits that are going to be hitting a bunch of different enemies with Vampire. It is just the Moze grenade. For my comm, I am using a Bloodletter comm, and the reason why I'm not using a Blastmaster comm in a splash damage build is because you do have to wait about a full minute without reloading to get that double damage splash bonus. There's another reason why. Like I said, the main weapons we're going to be using are going to be Scourges. These things consume a lot of ammo per shot. The only reason they have so much in the clip that, you know, how they do is because of Moze's skill trees and because of our artifacts, but you will accidentally reload or automatically start reloading all the friggin' time, and even if you don't complete the animation, as soon as it starts reloading, it'll completely take away all the bonuses from Blastmaster. So this is just really inconsistent. I'd much rather just have the healing from Bloodletter, as well as the skills that it gives you. This particular role that I have has +3 into Desperate Measures and 2 into Phalanx Doctrine, which I think is personally the best role you can get on this. As for the stats on it, I highly recommend getting an action skill cooldown rate on it. It doesn't really have to be any specific level. It can be a level 51, a level 53 one, but just get some action skill cooldown rate. The other stats don't really matter, and that is because this is really going to help you get Iron Bear back as soon as Some for the Road ends its duration. This is a really important part. And for the artifact, as I mentioned before, we are going to be using the Pearl of Ineffable Knowledge. For those of you who don't know, which I'm sure everybody knows because everybody's using it, everybody's talking about it, whenever you hit an enemy, you're going to get a stack, and once you get 15 stacks, you're going to get 20% extra damage, which totals out to about 35% more damage, but that is not true. It gives you way, way more damage, and that is why it synergizes so well with the consecutive hit anoints. However, another artifact you can use is a Deathless artifact. If you can get a Snowdrift Deathless, that would be perfect, because this was going to help you boss and mob in certain areas a lot easier. The main reason why you would want to use a Deathless is because it's going to put you at 1 HP, which will automatically max out the potential damage that you can get from Desperate Measures, which is 50% more gun damage. It's pretty damn strong. It's also going to make you a whole lot tankier because it's going to double your shield capacity and improve the recharge rate and recharge delay, which is really nice because that combined with Bloodletter is going to give you a lot of tankiness. Now, a cool little trick that you guys can do as well is to equip the Deathless. So you can see now I'm at 1% HP, or just 1 HP, and then I just swap back to the Pearl. Now, because I have a Bloodletter comm, I am not going to go above 1 HP, so I get to keep that bonus forever. So for bossing, and if you really want to be super overkill, you can just do this. Just equip the Deathless as soon as you spawn, and then swap to the Pearl, and you'll just have a bajillion damage. Now let's quickly go over the skill tree. I don't want to spend too much time on this. Like I said before, I don't really think anybody wants to see exactly point per point how I'm going to do this. So let's start with the green tree. The main thing we want from this is some for the road. We're going to pick up Cloud of Lead. This is just a staple skill. Every 4 shots you deal bonus incendiary damage and you don't consume ammo. This is going to give you even more incendiary damage, and this is going to allow you to regenerate ammo whenever you crit, which is going to be pretty often thanks to Pull the Holy Pin. Now 5 out of 5 points in Scrappy is the thing that I had to learn to use, or one of the things that, you know, was brought to the light to me, and it's mainly because of the weapon swap speed and the weapon mode switch speed. The Scourges take 24 hours to swap, and the Hedgehog, or the Quickie, sorry, takes forever to be whipped out and also to swap modes. So this is a huge help. As you can see, it just makes swapping between them so much faster. I highly recommend that you guys pick this up. This is going to be a huge help. Now in my Moze build video, I said that I would pick up Russian Offensive, but no. The reason why I don't take it anymore is because you cannot throw grenades while you are sprinting, so as soon as you start throwing grenades, you are going to be stopped right in your tracks, which feels very, very bad. So I don't recommend you take this because we are going to be spamming grenades quite often. I then put 5 out of 5 in Scorching RPMs because this is just more crit damage. I then put 1 point into Iron Bag to make our way down the tree and pick up some for the road, but you can put this into match set if you wanted to. From this tree, I also picked up the minigun with the Exploding Bullets augment because this allows the bullets to deal splash damage, and we are going to get a lot of splash damage skills from this tree, and this is also going to proc Means of Destruction, which is really, really good. Now that we're here, might as well go over this tree as well. You're going to want 5 out of 5 in Fire in the Skag Den. This is going to give you incendiary damage whenever you deal splash damage, which is literally always, so this is just going to deal more damage overall. 3 points in this is very, very important. This is what's going to help you get Iron Bear back once you actually jump out of him, and you should be able to get this pretty easily in mobbing sections. For bossing, you're probably going to want this, but I only put 1 point in this because in most situations, this is more than enough. You definitely want to max out Pull the Holy Pin so your grenades can crit, and I also put 1 point into Auto Bear, and the reason why I did this is because we are going to be equipping him with the Vanquisher Rocket Pod with the Target Softening Anointment, so his rockets are going to be debuffing enemies for us, so when he's just by himself, he'll be able to shoot enemies and debuff them, which makes our job a whole lot easier. Something else that I've noticed while playing Moze is that whenever you have Auto Bear, enemies kind of focus on him a little bit more. Like, I feel like whenever you hop out of Iron Bear, he kind of taunts them. Not all the time, and this might be just complete bullshit, like I might be talking out of my ass, but it definitely feels that way. So I am going to recommend that you do put a point into Auto Bear. If you don't want to, then put it into Grizzled, but I really don't see why you wouldn't want this. We are obviously going to be maxing out Vampire. This is what's going to help us stay alive, and I also put 3 points into Why Can't I Carry All These Grenades, because the more grenades we have, the better. This lets us throw grenades and fight for your life, which is super useful, and I put 1 point into Explosive Punctuation to move down the tree and pick up Short Fuse. With our remaining points, we're going to put them into Armored Infantry and Drowning in Brass for the most gun damage that we possibly can get. Well guys, that's going to be it. That's the gear, that's the build. I hope you guys found this video useful or entertaining, and if you did, be sure to drop a like. Again, I will be leaving a link to my save file in the video description so you guys can download this exact same thing and play it and try it out for yourselves. And if you want to get your hands on these save files before I even make a video and upload it to YouTube, be sure to join my Discord because I do post them on there, so you can drop by and download the file. A link to my Discord is in the video description, as well as a link to my Patreon. If you guys want to support me directly, that is the best way of doing so, and I want to give a huge, huge shout out to all of my patrons. I really deeply appreciate it. You guys have no idea how much it means to me, and I really appreciate you for watching. So, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.